Let's consider math and gross domestic product one more time because we've already seen this way back here, beginning, right? That was our first graph, okay? And so now we're sitting here looking at this lovely plot and we're trying to say, hey, Qatar is the world's richest country. So it would have the highest GDP, which means it's that sucker right there. So let me draw a ring around it. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so Qatar is circled. How well do Qatar 8th graders perform on this math test? Well, look at them. They have the lowest. They have one of the lowest scores of all nations taking the test. Two regression lines have been drawn. Which one includes Qatar? So there's this dotted line right here, and then there's a solid line. Now, Qatar is way down here, so what's going to happen is it's going to pull the slope of the line towards it. So the solid line includes Qatar because Qatar is so low, it will pull the linear regression line, least squares regression line, whatever, towards it. Okay. Which, by the way, means the dotted line is not including it, right? Is Qatar an outlier? Yes, right? Qatar is for sure an outlier. Hold on. Is an outlier. It is by far the wealthiest nation. Right? No points are coming close to it. Look at the gap between it and the next nation over. Right? It's huge. Far to the right of the other points. And also, it's very much off the path, right? The other points form a path, and namely this dotted line right here. That dotted line's the path, right? I mean, Qatar wouldn't shock you if it was like, up here somewhere even. But being where it is, it's so low considering the amount of money that country has, right? So it is also influential as it greatly affects. I think that's a terrible English sentence. Another way to gauge Qatar's influence is to see how much the slope, or to note, I guess, not see, to note how much the slope of the linear regression line changes with when it is included or not. So you can see that it's having huge influence. Look at how much this line is tilting over. Look at the slope. This is a quite significant slope on the dotted line. That solid line is less than 1, right? It's not a good slope at all. So you're really seeing a big difference when you're including Qatar and when you're not. That means that Qatar is not only an outlier because he's way over here in this white region all by himself, but he's also an influential outlier because he's causing the line to tilt over to accommodate him. He's off the path and off on the X direction. All right, now I want to be careful, just real quick, that statistical influence does not equal real life influence. I mean, the same thing about here. I mean, I was talking about how 2002 was not influential, and I mean that in a not talking about 9/11 way. I mean that in a statistical sense. What counts as influence for us really is a great effect on the slope. So, for example, this is the Bush versus Buchanan votes in all counties in presidential election of 2000. If you recall, that was the hotly contested Bush-Gore election that eventually went to the Supreme Court. And you can see which county, hopefully, was the one that the Gore and Bush camps were fighting over. It's this little red X right here. So let me type this up. Hold on. There we go. Palm Beach is definitely an outlier because he's got a lot more Buchanan votes than any other county, right? Way higher. But it's not really an influential outlier because the lines are not that different. But of course, this is an influential county because this is what decided the election. So keep in mind that statistical influence is not the same thing as real life influence.